fact, the more tenderly for that bleeding wound. But what could a penniless girl do with it but let it go? When her father at last appeared, she became, as usual, instantly aware of the futility of any effort to hold him to anything. He had written her he was ill, too ill to leave his room, and that he must see her without delay. And if this had been, as was probable, the sketch of a design, he was indifferent even to the moderate finish required for deception. He had clearly wanted, for the perversities he called his reasons, to see her, just as she herself had sharpened for a talk. But she now again felt, in the inevitability of the freedom he used with her, all the old ache, her poor mother's very own, that he couldn't touch you ever so lightly without setting up. No relation with him could be so short or so superficial as not to be somehow to your hurt, and this in the strangest way in the world, not because he desired it to be, feeling often, as he surely must, the profit for him of its not being, but because there was never a mistake for you that he could leave unmade, nor a conviction of his impossibility in you that he could approach you without strengthening. He might have awaited her on the sofa in his sitting-room, or he might have stayed in bed and received her in that situation. She was glad to be spared the sight of such penetralia, but it would have reminded her a little less that there was no truth in him. The one stray gleam of comedy just now in his daughter's eyes was the absurd feeling he momentarily made her have of being herself looked up by him in sordid lodgings. For a minute after he came in, it was as if the place were her own, and he the visitor with susceptibilities. He gave you absurd feelings. He had indescribable arts that quite turned the tables. This had been always how he came to see her mother, so long as her mother would see him. He came from places they had often not known about, but he patronized Lexham Gardens. Kate's only actual expression of impatience, however, was, "I'm glad you're so much better."
"I'm not so much better, my dear. I'm exceedingly unwell, the proof of which is precisely that I had been out to the chemist's, that beastly fellow at the corner."
So Mr. Croy showed he could qualify the humble hand that assuaged him.
"I'm taking something he's made up for me. It's just why I've sent for you, that you may see me as I really am."
It gave him pleasure that she was handsome, that she was in her way a tangible value. It was at least as marked, nevertheless, that he derived none from similar conditions, so far as they were similar, in his other child. Poor Marion might be handsome, but he certainly didn't care. The hitch here, of course, was that, with whatever beauty, her sister, widowed and almost in want, with 4 bouncing children, had no such measure. She asked him the next thing how long he had been in his actual quarters, though aware of how little it mattered, how little any answer he might make would probably have in common with the truth. She failed, in fact, to notice his answer, truthful or not, already occupied as she was with what she had on her own side to say to him. This was really what made her wait, what superseded the small remainder of her resentment at his constant practical impertinence. The result of all of which was that within a minute she had brought it out. "Yes, even now I'm willing to go with you. I don't know what you may have wished to say to me, and even if you hadn't written, you would have, within a day or two, have heard from me. Things have happened, and I've only waited for seeing you till I should be quite sure. I am quite sure. I'll go with you." It produced an effect.
"Go with me? Where?"
"Anywhere. I'll stay with you even here." She had taken off her gloves, and as if she had arrived with her plan, she sat down.
"Oh, my child, I can never consent to that."
"What, then, are you going to do?"
"I'm turning it over," said Lionel Croy. "You may imagine if I'm not thinking."
"Haven't you thought, then," his daughter asked, "of what I speak of? I mean of my being ready?"
"Do you really ask me to believe that you've been making up your mind to that?"